Okay, so I just want to comment on a couple of essays by Paul Graham, Graham. Some of you might get annoyed that I keep referencing texts because you might say, I don't want to read all this stuff, but listen, once you get used to reading, you find that it's a greater treasure than anything that costs a lot of money, okay? Um, so, first, I want to comment on his essay, Keep Your Identity Small. Um, There's a claim I want to make in supplementation to the essay that I think should just be thought of plainly, okay, in the simplest way possible. And the claim is this: your identity, your self concept, your ego, your sort of notion of yourself will be strong in proportion to how unsafe or threatened you feel. And if you engineer a life in which you don't have to adopt defensive stances or a raised guard around anyone, you won't really care about what you think of yourself. You won't have to think of yourself in any way. You'll just be a free-flowing field of loving concern toward others. That's one claim for you to sit with. And I also want to remark on his essay, Maker's Schedule, Manager's Schedule. Um, I'm not so sure that there's not some way to sort of synthesize the fruits of these kinds of schedules, you know. So I think I don't know how to phrase this in a way that is like scientifically rigorous um, and logically defensible, but like if you kind of live in a state in which you're in ongoing awareness of both internal and external phenomena, then you can stay creative while you're working in a 9 to 5, and you can even produce long essays while you have a kind of cluttered schedule for 5 out of 7 days in a week, you know. Um, to put that in simple terms, obviously you would have the sort of manager schedule for 5 days and the maker schedule for 2 days, you know, in accordance with your respective work week and weekend. But that's obvious. What's maybe less obvious is that there's a kind of attitude or mindset you can adopt that'll make you highly creative in a way that actually maybe helps people. And I guess it involves like, I try to do this every day and I try to do it multiple times a day if I can, but you sit down and you kind of invite love and compassion into your heart until you don't care at all about how you think prior to your attempts to communicate something to others, whether through the internet or through, you know, your personal relationships. So I think maybe one of the major signs that you're in a loving relationship with someone is that you don't feel compelled to be any particular sort of person when you're with them. You're not straining or trying to put forth or conceal any aspect of yourself. You're kind of in a state of rest. Um, so what you do doesn't come from a state of psychological scarcity or insecurity. It just comes from, you know, a kind of infinitely deep affection. So if I am in love with a woman, I don't have an interest in appearing a certain way to her. What I like to do is just like make her laugh as often as possible, you know, because it makes me happy when she laughs. So if I really like a, you know, a specific woman, then like when we're sitting together, I will kind of say or do anything just to put a smile on her face, and I'll just keep doing that. Um, and that's very different from, what might be endorsed by somebody like, I guess, an Andrew Tate, right? He might operate in a way that signals various kinds of exceptional, innate or acquired abilities and qualities to a woman, right? You have to maintain frame and all this shit. But I don't really relish that kind of attitude, not just within the context of romance, but in friendship and in work and in any setting. I think an important part of getting older is developing some idea of what you regard as a healthy and beautiful life for you, um, in particular. And for me, the best life is one in which I don't have to explain anything I say or write or do to anyone, and then I don't have to present myself in a specific way toward anyone. Whether I'm in public or in private, whether I'm alone or in company, I can just be one sort of person. So right now I'm kind of that way, and I want to stay that way. And that's a huge luxury because, it used to be that I always had to keep my guard up around certain people. Um, so that feels like it's more valuable than money to me. There was a time when I had kind of a luxurious life insofar as I was able to uh, spend $100 a month on whatever I wanted and then not have to worry about looking at a literal physical clock at any point in the day. And I was just writing whatever I wanted to and, listening to ambient music and feeling that the creative horizons of my future were completely uh, kind of unencumbered by this ominous feeling that I would constantly be slaving away in a job within which I was just perceived as like an expendable workhorse. Um, but the important thing about that kind of beautiful life is that it doesn't require an extreme degree of money. The core psychological fruits of that sort of life can be derived even when you're working, a 9 to 5. The important thing to keep in mind is is to develop a sort of I'm not sure you would use the term metacognitive, but it's like a monitoring. It's like a sort of non-judgmental awareness of internal and external phenomena. That's kind of the seat or the root of um, my current attempts to be creative on this YouTube channel. You start with sort of non-judgmental awareness. You don't start with something you want to feel or something you want to believe or something you're running away from. You just start with like what's going on in the mind, in the body, in this situation, and then you yield to love and compassion until you produce something of use.